Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys some of the ways that we celebrate birthdays while we're also living tiny. So, a lot of times we think that if we have really small space that we can't do, we can't celebrate things the way we used to. And part of that is true, right? We're not having these big elaborate parties with lots of guests, and we don't get, a whole table full of gifts anymore for our kids. So there are some things that are changing, but I like to believe that some of the changes that we've made since we've decided to live tiny, and honestly some of these things we actually implemented before we even decided to sell our house and 90% of the things that we owned, because we realized that our kids had too much stuff. So these are some things that I'm just going to share. Some we've been doing for a long time, some we have implemented since we have started living in our camper, but just kind of share with you guys how we have big celebrations even though we're living small. So let's go ahead and start with just the decor first. So we don't have a lot of space where we're going to be able to have a lot of decorations, but we do have a couple of things, and honestly this started before we decided to move into our camper. We have a couple of things that we hold on to, a couple of things we have to buy for each birthday that we kind of do for each time we're celebrating one of our kids, which kind of seems like it's pretty frequently since we do have 4 kids. But one of them I want to share, and this would be a super easy thing to purchase, probably a few dollars at Walmart or a party store. Let me see if I can get it the right way. But it's just a simple fold up happy birthday sign. We've had this for several years. It kind of spins up and gets to be pretty small when you actually have the time and the effort to put into it to get it to fold up, but it's really small. We keep it in our cupboard. That way every time we're celebrating a birthday, we hang it prominently, usually in the living room or the kitchen. In our home, it was usually in our kitchen, and now it's our kitchen and our living room all in one. So we hang that up after the kids go to bed, so when they wake up, whoever's birthday it is, that's the first thing that they're gonna see. Along with that, another simple thing to do is streamers. So when we lived in a sticks and bricks house, we would put streamers outside of their bedroom door, so that when they opened the door and as soon as they walked out, they would have their streamers. Now it's kind of all in one. They walk out of their bedroom and they're immediately into the living room and kitchen. And so we do hang them on the outside of their door so that when they open it up, and then kind of just all throughout the living room, we will do it to like a light or a chandelier or over a few things. We'll kind of get creative. For the most part, those will stay up. Like when we lived in a house, they would stay up a lot longer because you had a little bit more freedom as far as where you could put them and they could still be out of the way. It's not super easy to leave them up for a terribly long time. I think we might have lasted maybe 2 or 3 days with them up this time, but we always choose the kids' favorite color. We're still holding on to these. These are from Isaiah, his favorite NASCAR drivers, Joey Logano, and these are his colors. So that was what we went with. But each time we have a kid, we choose their favorite colors and we hang them up around the house to be a surprise when they wake up. In addition to those things, we usually will buy like happy birthday plates and napkins as well, just for the meals that we're going to be eating, so that they feel a little bit like the meals are special and that we're truly celebrating them throughout the day. Now it's a perfect segue into the food that we eat during their birthday. And so one of the things that we do for each kiddo is that on their birthday, they get to choose every meal as well as their birthday dessert. So they're choosing breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we usually give them one meal that they can choose to eat out. So if they would like to go for breakfast and go get donuts, that's their one meal out. If they have something that they would like to get for lunch or dinner, we do kind of set some parameters on that. We are a family of 6 and it can be kind of expensive to eat out. So we do kind of try to set some parameters on it. One, it can't be something crazy and outlandish. If we can, we will make it work for them and the meals that they want. And a lot of times, we're talking like donuts or crepes for breakfast. Lunch is something, a lot of times it's probably one of their favorite meals that I make, whether it's tacos or spaghetti or, whatever. And then dinner out, a lot of times as my boys get older, they're wanting steak. So we will get steak to, a lot of times we're doing curbside pickup because that helps decrease the cost, and we'll do curbside pickup and eat it at home. And then a lot of times their dessert kind of changes, but we have done anything from a donut cake to brownies and ice cream, and a key lime pie, different things like that that we'll have prepared for them for their birthday. Of course, we do the candles and we sing. And a lot of times, you know, since being in the camper, those celebrations have been with just our immediate family. And then we actually were able to celebrate with some other full-time families, and we invited them over for dessert and we're able to celebrate with them. Other times we try to group our family's birthdays when we are home visiting, that we can do them all together with some family. But yeah, those are just kind of what we allow them to do for their food. And then another thing is that Joel will almost always get this day off. So if it's a weekday, we always take school off for their birthday, and then Joel will take that day off and we are able to spend the entire day as a family together. One thing that I forgot to mention too is usually around the dinner table, we will also share, you know, something. We kind of go around the table and everyone shares, whether it's like why you love that person, what you're thankful for that person, or what you like about them, just kind of sharing some thoughts about that particular person on their birthday, giving them just some, you know, verbal praise of why we love them, why we're thankful for them. And we have some kiddos who have a love language of words of affirmation. So we know that is especially, you know, heartwarming to them. So we try to do that with everyone on their birthday as well. Okay, that kind of leads me to the last little thing that I want to share, and that's gifts. And gifts can be the hard one, especially when you're trying to limit how much stuff you're accumulating. And this kind of transitioned with us even before we moved into a camper. So we were starting to realize that our kids had a ton of stuff. We lived in a home that was pretty large, and the entire basement was just the kids. And it was full of toys, Legos and cars, and tons and tons of stuff. And we started to realize that they had so much that they didn't even really play with it. And they would get something new for their birthday, and it would really only hold their attention for maybe 1 to 2 days. And it was kind of, we started to realize they would play with it and then it would go into the corner and they would never touch it again. It was kind of like, why are we spending so much money on things that our kids, you know, they might like, and they'll play with it for a little bit, but then all of a sudden it's old news and they're not playing with it anymore. It's just collecting dust. So we slowly started to get rid of those things and transition into more of a, let's ask for experiences, whether it's from us or from grandparents or family, for our kids. And so we really did transition to this before, but it works even better having lived in a camper because we don't have the space for all these extra toys to lug around, especially when they're not going to be using them much or for very long. So some of these experience things, they can really range in dollar value, and some can be pretty easy to do. Some might be a little bit more expensive. And at the times when we have had more expensive experiences, we've asked all the grandparents to kind of go in together, or aunts and uncles to chip in, and that it's a gift from everyone and that we get to do something. So it can really range. It could be as simple as going to the movies and getting some popcorn, and that be your experience. It could be a membership to a zoo that you're close to, or a science center that you would get a year access to. We've asked for those before, and those have been great birthday gifts. It can also be a little bit more extravagant. And so, we haven't always had the opportunity to do those things, but kind of on our adventure, this is one of the things that we're trying to do a little bit more, is to get our kids to experience things that they may never get a chance to do again, or not as often, or, things that we didn't get to experience. So things that we have done before. For gifts, we have done helicopter rides, and we have a child asking to go parasailing for his birthday. We have done NASCAR tickets to go see NASCAR races. We have done zip lining. We've done horseback riding trips. We've done go-karting, and we've even taken, before we lived in a camper, we actually took a weekend trip camping for a birthday. So those obviously really range. It could be something really cheap, like going to a movie or an arcade, or it could be something much more extravagant that might require maybe to pull in a lot of family together to be able to give this gift. And honestly, that's what we have done a lot of times, is we've asked grandparents to chip in to be able to do the more extravagant experiences. But a lot of times I think that those memories are going to last a whole lot longer than maybe this new Lego set that they're going to lose 16 pieces in about a day and a half and complain because now that set doesn't work and they can't build it because they lost X amount of pieces. So those memories are going to last a lot longer than the Lego set is going to last. Now, maybe you're not into the experience kind of thing, or maybe those are a little bit more expensive, and out of budget. And that's really okay. We've totally been there. And sometimes we still have to say no to some things that are just not in the budget as well. And a lot of times what we try to do in those instances, or we're overlapping getting them things that are also useful or practical. So the things that we would have been getting anyway. So a lot of times as our kids get older, they, you know, they start to care a little bit more about the things that they wear or the things that they have. So we have started to get like tennis shoes or hats or sweatshirts, different things like that that are more practical, but that they also want and that they're going to eventually need. So we kind of overlap them. We've also done this with bikes and scooters, things that they're outgrowing of one. We know they're going to need a new bike because they are getting bigger, they need it. So we're going to overlap that with a birthday, and it kind of kills two birds with one stone. So you can kind of play it with that. And a lot of those outdoor toys too, we know that they're going to get used. It's not like something that they're going to have and, you know, a Nerf gun and play with for a day and a half, and then all of a sudden it's hidden in a corner and not being used. So we know new bikes and scooters and things like that are going to get used. So we have a little bit better of a feeling of investing our money in those things for our kids because we know that they're going to get used a lot. Now, one of the other gifts that I want to share that we've been buying for our kids are kind of craft things that get used and then you throw away. So they're not necessarily, they might take up space for a time, but they serve their purpose. And then once the purpose is done, then they get tossed. So I want to share a couple of things that we have had. Our kids have been really into coloring and crafts and little activity books. So we have little books like this that are just little, these are Bible puzzles. So there's like crosswords and word searches that have to do with those. Again, when this book is done, it's going to get tossed into the trash. So it's just something that's going to be held on to for a time and then it's going to go. We have a lot of kids that are really into, so we do a lot of read alouds. If you watch my channel for any amount of time, you know that I love books. We do a lot of reading aloud. And so one of the ways that I keep my kids busy is doing some just like, they are kind of like the adult coloring book, but for kids, just some different coloring book options, and that they can, you know, do while I'm reading, keeps their hands busy, but they're just coloring while I'm reading. And so we have several of these, and when the book is finished, or if they rip out the pages, we've asked them not to rip out the pages, but sometimes they do. And if I've made and established the rule that if I find them laying around on the ground, then they go in the trash. If they would like me to, if they want to save them, they have a box that they can keep a few things in. But when that box gets out of control, they kind of have to take some time to figure out, okay, what's really worth keeping, what I really want to keep, and what can go in the trash. Some of the things that are super special to them, I have them hold them up and I take a picture of them, and then we have a forever digital copy that they can know that we have evidence and proof that they've done it, but I don't have anything taking up space. So that's one way that we kind of combat that feeling of not wanting to put something in the trash. So we do the coloring books. My kids have really enjoyed the paint by stickers. We've gone through several of these books, and it's just a lot of little pieces of sticker that they put together to make a giant picture. So they've gone through several of these books. They really, really like them. It's another one of those things that's keeping their hands busy while they are still listening to me read. To go with the coloring books, these are just great little things to have, as well as we will get them some like art supplies. So they really go through their colored pencils. We have gone through several of these. Again, it's one of those things. It's great when you have them. When they get to be little stubs, we just throw them away and we start over new and get a new set. Some other things that kind of go along with the crafts are things that we know that they're going to want, but they are very practical in the sense, like my son, who is really into piano, really wanted a piano book. So getting something, again, that he's going to ask for anyway. And same with like having just some small games. These work well as far as getting the family involved together, where family really likes 5 crowns and Tinsy. So those are just some things that like are smaller and still are going to serve a really great purpose. And there's one other craft I want to show you. We had a friend recommend to just get some of this magic clay. It came with lots of different colors of clay. They came in like little, there's a pack. Little packages of this. It's not your typical hard clay. It is it's more foamy, this particular pack was, but it came with lots of little tools like this and like sculpting tools that they could use. And they've made, you know, here's one. It was, I think, a burger maybe. They've made lots of little things, and this was the same way as the paper. We left them up for a couple of days, as long as my mind could tolerate. We took some pictures of the ones that they were especially proud of. If they had a few that they wanted to keep, could go in their box if they had room. If not, we trashed them. So they're great. Crafts are a great little thing to kind of hold on to. They keep them busy in the moment, but then at the end of the day, if you're needing to save space, they can go in the trash, as bad as that might sound. All right, guys, so those are just a few of the things that I wanted to share as to how we are still having, you know, big celebrations, still making the kids feel special on their birthday, while not really going out spending a ton of money on decorations and having big extravagant parties, but still being able to really enjoy the day by making memories, enjoying experiences, and getting them a little something that they can still unwrap and feel like they had something special to, you know, be a surprise on their birthday. So if you have any questions, as always, I'm happy to answer them. If you have any suggestions of something that maybe I have overlooked that maybe my kids would really enjoy for their birthdays, we do have one coming up this month, so I would love to hear about it. And until next time, guys, have a blessed day.